You are a woman in New York or New Delhi, Nairobi or Napoli, or anywhere in the world, but you don't feel entirely comfortable, relaxed, or perhaps even safe in your own city. Well, then let me tell you, there is a place in the world where you as a woman can just truly be yourself, or perhaps better still, just be. Such a place is Denmark. I moved to Denmark 17 years ago, and I have learned over the course of these 17 years many fascinating details about women in Denmark, about Danish women, and about how my life unfolded in Denmark over these 17 years. I have gone through moments of culture shock, of being pleasantly surprised, of learning how I should navigate my everyday life as a woman. People always wonder and think, how's it going? My mother keeps calling and says, Mini, tum bhalo acho. And so if you are wondering if you should come to Denmark, what's it like here, then I'm going to share all these tidbits and insights from my own life and my own experiences as to how life truly is in Denmark. So if you are interested, keep watching. So one of the things that I first noticed when I landed up in Copenhagen, at the Copenhagen airport, straight out of New Delhi, with a lot of bags, was a lot women around me. As soon as I got into the train and waited at the platform and got into the train, I noticed that women around me were so relaxed, so confident, and so capable. That is not to say that women around the world are not capable, but this was a completely different energy, a completely different vibe. So I sat across this lady who happened to be 86 years old at that point, and she gave me a card and she said, well, we can keep in touch. And I was so impressed that an 86-year-old woman, she was so well-dressed, well-kept, strong, and truly capable, and we had just struck a conversation as co-passengers on this train coming from the airport to Copenhagen. Actually, I was going all the way to Roskilde, and just the first impression was of someone who is very strong and capable. And over the first few days, when I landed up at university and I had professors who were women, I noticed how they dressed. They were women have to wear boots, because it's winter, and typically women wear boots, and that goes well with trousers. Well, you can also wear boots with dresses, but this professor kind of really shook up my image of women and how it is to just feel strong and confident. Now, I believe that I grew up in midst of women who were very strong and confident themselves. I went to Lady Shri Ram College at University of Delhi, and I felt very confident myself, but being in the presence of other confident women really did something to me. I felt energized. I felt like I was in the right setting. It was like a moment of affirmation. The very first few days that, yes, this is the right milieu, and it's the kind of milieu I want to be in, and I want to see more of it. So the confidence in women was just went above and beyond, was like the biggest thing I noticed in my very first days. Talking about confidence, you see, women are very safe in this country. I have been talking about how safe Denmark is, and it's a widely known fact that Denmark has very low crime rate, and it is an extremely safe space and a safe country for women. Something that comes with that safety is naturally women are more confident and women are more independent to go about their lives. It has never been an issue for me to take a train from the countryside, Roskilde, where I used to be a student and lived for many years, to, say, the capital, Copenhagen. It has never been an issue for me to take the train at any time of the day, even in the middle of the night. If it was 12 in the midnight or 1, or if I was coming back from visiting a friend, I felt truly safe confident, reassured that nothing terrible is going to happen, that I don't need to keep calling a friend or messaging them constantly, keeping them updated about my whereabouts. I felt truly relaxed. That was just the most fundamental things that I have to say at the very onset, that safety was never an issue. And that safety allowed for being independent, and that safety allowed for being confident, which I saw every other woman, irrespective whether they were brown or white women, if they were black women. I just saw women being totally comfortable. Women in headscarves, women in burqas, in hijabs. Women of all backgrounds were truly comfortable and mobile and went about their lives by themselves with nothing to bother them. So the confidence in women was really remarkable. The next thing that I've noticed about women in Denmark and that I've learned from Danish women is their ability to say no. We have grown up in some parts of the world, in some cultures, as women, as good girls who always have to say yes, who have to agree with whatever is being asked of them. To be agreeable is such a female trait that is inculcated in young women. And this agreeableness is good to a certain extent where you truly mean it, but to say yes to some things that you don't want to do or are not capable of doing, or it doesn't suit your calendar, is a very big thing. And that kind of forthrightness or assertiveness is something that I didn't see very much of when I was growing up in New Delhi, for instance. As a young woman in New Delhi, it's very rare for women to put their foot down and say, look, yes, you've made that request, but I really cannot meet that right now. Either it doesn't fit into my calendar, or it's just completely bothersome, or yes, thank you for the invitation, but I won't be able to make it because this time is my time. Just the ability to say no. Say no to your parents, say no to your friends, say no to your managers or seniors is something that is simply not an option in New Delhi, for instance, but it is very much a practice and a way of life here in Denmark. So one of the big takeaways of being a woman in Denmark is that you don't have to do something that you are not comfortable with, and that you can actually take the liberty of being confident and just saying it as it is. It doesn't work for me, I'm sorry, won't happen, a straight no. In the same vein of being able to say no, I have noticed that women in Denmark are very confident about expressing their opinions, right? This is something that I value greatly and that I truly like to nurture myself as a young woman in India. I grew up in a household where my opinion was valued, where I was encouraged to have an opinion, to express myself, and just to live freely. But unfortunately, that is not something I can claim is true for a lot of my Indian friends or a lot of women out there in India, for instance. And that is perhaps true for many other parts of the world. So what I noticed here in Denmark was that women have an opinion, of course they do. And I think a lot stems from the fact that there is 100% literacy in Denmark, right? Women and men, boys and girls, all have access to education. And because everybody grows up in an environment where you have equal access to opportunity, and it starts with equal access to educational opportunities, women are growing up with a certain sense of empowerment, and they are, of course, encouraged to have an opinion and to not shy away from expressing it. And that was truly a breath of fresh air for me, and I loved this empowered, energized environment where I found myself, because it's truly a rare quality in many other parts of the world. And I wish there were more women who had access to this liberty of speaking out and speaking aloud their mind and whatever their opinions were on varying issues. There is another thing that I've noticed about life in Denmark and being a woman in Denmark is that you can bodily be the way you want to be, right? You can dress up or dress as little as you want. Nobody is going to raise an eyebrow over how you dress. I have seen women who are wearing bikinis while biking on a hot summer day, and there is no fuss around it because it's just a safe society. Just imagine a woman wearing a bikini and not much else, and she's on her bike, and there is absolutely nobody to creep her out. She can just do her thing. Likewise, it's very common for women to be topless on the beach, or women to dress the way they fancy. I mean, there is absolutely no issue, though the society around her will not bother her, will not judge her, will not harass her in any way, because it's just a safe space for all concerned. Also for, ethnic women, I would say there is no limitations to how you dress at the workplace. If you're holding a position in a government institution, you can truly be yourself and wear the headscarf if you have to. I increasingly see women having that kind of visibility in Denmark, and more so in Copenhagen, where you can, whether you're a white woman or a brown woman or a black woman, and no matter what background you come from, you have the liberty of dressing the way you want without judgment. Now, talking about safety and mobility, you see, I felt very safe taking the train, and that's literally what I had to do. I had to take the train or the bus to go around places. But the most common mode of transportation in Denmark for men and women is biking. You take your bike and you go wherever you need to go, short distances, long distances. The biking culture is the most remarkable and one of the key highlights of life in Denmark. So what I've seen here is that as a woman, you're so capable. You just ferry your children around in your bike, and there is a proper place for your children to sit on the bike. And you will bike long distances to work, could be 5 kilometers, 10, maybe even more. And this kind of freedom that comes with biking was truly remarkable for me. So as a young person in New Delhi, I never learned how to bike because it was considered unsafe. My parents never felt confident about allowing me to bike in the streets in New Delhi. So it so happened that when I came to Denmark, I did not know how to bike. So I had to learn how to bike in Copenhagen as an adult. And I learned to bike towards my late 20s and early 30s. It was only at age 31 that I went out on a bike on the main road, surrounded by buses and trucks for the first time. So yes, it is possible to pick up things late in life, but imagine being able to finally bike and to feel the wind in my hair and feel truly liberated to just go about places on my own. I think being able to bike in Copenhagen without any challenges, you truly feel empowered and independent, and this is just the biggest symbol of freedom for me, was this ability to bike around. Now, another thing I've noticed about women in Denmark is that they are strong in a sense that they are looking for solutions themselves. They're solution finders themselves. So when I went to Roskilde Festival, one of the things that amused me greatly early on was how capable women were in carrying really heavy crates of beer, like big crates of beer bottles themselves. So this notion of, oh, let me call a man who's going to lift up this heavy crate for me. Or let me call a man who's going to, carry my suitcases. Oh, let me call a man because I cannot fix this nail on the wall. or, change the light bulb. This attitude simply doesn't exist. I mean, it would be a rare occasion if a woman in Denmark asks a man for help to fix a light bulb or put up, photographs and plant nails on the wall. It's just a rare thing because women are raised with access to such knowledge and skills. They are raised to be capable and they're raised to find solutions for themselves. So nobody is playing damsel in distress and nobody is calling out to a dude, oh, can you please put up these shades for me? I mean, yes, you can do that, but it's rare because people are capable. Women are capable. And I thought that was tremendously remarkable, and I found that superbly impressive. And these are things that have actually gone on to shape me as a woman, and I have just only learned to do things myself. Talking about doing things by myself, you see, I like to go out and have a meal once in a while on my own, or to just go and have a drink, any drink, whether it's a milkshake or a glass of wine, and just gaze out the window without being bothered. As a woman, I want to do that. And I know several other women want to do that. And you can actually do that without being made to feel uncomfortable, without getting unwanted attention in Copenhagen. So I would actually take the liberty of taking myself out and having a quiet moment to read or to write something on my laptop, or just journal, and just to have the pleasure and liberty of quiet time in public places, in public spaces like a restaurant or a bar. You can actually do that in Copenhagen and nobody will bother you. And nobody will come and creep you out with strange comments or come up with pesky questions asking for your attention. Nothing of the kind will happen. And so these were the little things that I noticed about, being a woman in Denmark, and how truly liberating it is, because nobody is interested. Actually nobody cares. You can just go about doing your own thing and nobody will come to bother you. I think that was just so remarkable. Now, another thing that I noticed very early on, and which was truly eye-catching for me, was the presence of women in all manner of occupations. When I first saw a woman as a bus driver in Copenhagen, I was like, wow, this is truly something. I have never seen a bus driver in New Delhi, for instance. So of course, my reference point is where I come from. And to see a female bus driver was a wonderful feeling. Likewise, the ticket checker on the trains sometimes were women. So as a woman in Denmark, you can pursue any career you want. You can be a painter, one who does the actual painting of the walls of your house. You can be a pig farmer. You can be a Volt delivery person or a food delivery person. You can be a woodworker and have a full career as a carpenter. There are no such boundaries to women should only be pursuing certain careers and not others, because all opportunities are available to all people, men and women. You will see a lot of men opting for nursing jobs, right? So these typical gender roles and gender-led choices for careers are also not seen in Denmark so much. I mean, I'm really pleasantly surprised when I see women who are doing construction or women who are doing painting as professional painters. And I find that truly affirming that when given an opportunity, women can do all manner of work and activity and pursue all manner of professions. And that was truly refreshing for me. There are more than 40% women in the Danish parliament today. And that is pretty remarkable. Women are holding jobs in all walks of life, but it's truly wonderful and remarkable that there are a high representation of women in the Danish parliament and in Danish politics in general. And I think that goes on to say a lot about the society, about how it is possible for women to be active members of society, taking part in policy making, in shaping policies and in shaping opinions. And that's why it's truly remarkable to see the visibility of women across professions in Denmark. Now, a thing about Danish women that most people will not tell you is that just the way Danish women can say no because they know what works for them and they have the liberty of saying no, in the same way, women in Denmark find it okay to make time for themselves. It is very common for husbands or partners or male partners to chip in with household chores, and for women to take time out in the evening, after work, after dinner, to go and do something that they enjoy. It could be going to the gym for fitness. It could be going and doing, some craft work and making jewelry. It could be going and singing in the choir. It could be any number of activities that you want to pursue. But the fact that it is a way of life, that women are always making time for themselves. It could be going to a yoga class. Most yoga classes have a lot of women, and I have been to such classes both in the evening, in the weekends. You see that there is respect for women's health, there is respect for women's well-being, and it is expected of women that they will take out time for themselves. And to be able to do that, you need a support system to support you and your well-being. And such a support system actually exists because the partners invariably, they're active members in doing household chores and taking on the workload equally, or sometimes more than equally. So to be a woman in Denmark means you don't have to be this sacrificial woman who's there to serve only and who's there to nurture her family only and put her husband and her child or children first. That is typically not the notion. Yes, we are all equals where my partner's well-being matters, my child's well-being matters, and my own well-being matters. I see women in Denmark truly making time for themselves, going on solo journeys or solo pursuits, or going and pursuing a hobby often and regularly. And I find that absolutely wonderful. Now, a big part of having a safe society is feeling safe while dating as a young woman. So I have tried dating in Denmark and in Copenhagen. And one of the things that I have noticed is that when you go out on a date, you will most likely not meet a creepy person. And online dating apps like Tinder, or there are many others, if you are on them, you will most likely not meet creeps. People are genuine on dating apps in Denmark, and dating overall for a woman using dating apps, or whether you meet through other avenues, is largely, and I really think this is true for a lot of women, it's largely a pleasant experience. And going from my own experience from my younger days, I can tell you that I have not met a single person who was disrespectful, who was creepy, who was wanting to, cross certain boundaries. That's because Danish men are inherently respectful, and they are raised to be respecting women and their boundaries. And going on dates is just can be so many fun, varied things. I know people who have been on their first dates, and their first date was about, let's go take a dip in the lake. Something as simple as that. It doesn't have to be a traditional coffee date. So I think this dating experiences, especially as a brown Indian woman, nothing uncanny happened. And I think that goes on to say how, as a foreign woman who's not white, even I had that same level of respect that they would give to any other white woman. And there is a great respect for your time, there's a great respect for your space, and just the fact that you can just be yourself is truly liberating. Women in Denmark, and especially Danish women, when I noticed early on, is that women are very comfortable in their own skin. And what do I mean by that? Danish women are so comfortable in their nudeness, in their nakedness. So something that really caught my attention very early on was that when you go to the gym or when you go for a swim class, all people have to go and take a shower before and after their swim class. So these showers are actually open showers, and there are no locks on them, and there are no doors, and it's not private cabins like that. So one of the things I had to initially struggle with was, okay, I have never been nude in public spaces. It's just something you don't do in India. It's definitely not a thing. I also know from my friends from the US, from the UK, that it's a pretty unheard of practice where you will have no privacy while bathing in the shower rooms, because they are not rooms, they are just like a big hall with shower cabinets. So my initial challenge was, where do I place my eye? Because not only am I not used to being unclothed, undressed like that in public spaces, but I have also not been looking at other nude bodies. So for me, my first challenge was, where do I place my eye? Is it even okay? But the best part about being in Denmark, and typical thing about Danish women and men, is that they are so confident in their bodies, they're so confident in their skin. They will just take their time to moisturize themselves and to wipe themselves and to, blow out their hair, and everything is just so relaxed and unconscious and truly free. And I think that was absolutely remarkable. That goes on to say volumes about the culture, that I am comfortable being like this in a public space because I know nobody is going to bother me. Nobody is going to stare at me, make me feel uncomfortable, pass comments. This just doesn't exist. Such an idea doesn't exist in this society. So being comfortable in your skin as a woman and as a man is one of the most remarkable things about Denmark, and I find that truly liberating. So these are the things that have shaped me as a woman over the course of 17 years of my life in Denmark. Initially, many of the things were pretty eye-catching. Tiny moments of culture shock, especially with the nude bathing and being nude in changing rooms and in shower rooms, or even during Roskilde Festival. But over time, I have come to become totally comfortable with these things. I don't even think about it when I go to the gym or when I go swimming here. And these are things that are pretty unique to this culture. I don't think everybody can accept it if you're coming from very conservative parts of the world, but it's something that you warm up to over time and get more relaxed with. I remember sharing my experience of the shower room and being completely naked with an Indian friend who lives in Italy, and she was like, there's no way on earth that I can bring myself to do something like this. And I completely get it, because it's such an alien idea in most other parts of the world, but it's a pretty standard, regular thing to do, a regular way of life in Denmark. So these are the ways Denmark has shaped me, has empowered me, has really, I keep saying liberated, because it is truly liberating. You don't have to be always in charge in a combative mode where you have to, fight for your space or fight for your security or fight for your time, fight for your liberty. You can just be relaxed and you can just be. Well, if you found this video interesting, and if you found my insights of living in Denmark as a woman interesting, then please do drop a comment. I would love to hear from you. How is it going for you in wherever you are placed in your part of the world? And if you enjoyed watching this video, then please do subscribe to the channel. This will be an indication that I should make more such videos, and I should share more of my life experiences of being a migrant, of being a brown woman, of being an Indian woman in Denmark. Till we meet next time, do take care of yourself and see you soon.